or PO2, the dissolved oxygen level in your bloodstream, drops with infections, injuries, and illnesses. Red blood cells are composed largely of hemoglobin, which is made up of hemes. Now look at the spiraling tetrahedral structures of the hemoglobin groups. One heme has 4 octahedrons, pyramid shapes of iron, and is surrounded by hundreds of enzymes. The iron molecules are stacked in line, forming 2 alpha and 2 beta chains, as shown. This is, again, from Dr. Fred Bell's wonderful work. The hemoglobin component of RBCs, like DNA, like all the proteins in your body, are spiraled. Why? You remember Tesla, Nikola Tesla, the Tesla coil? The coils act as an energy enhancer. Everything in your body, the physical nature of your body, are based on sacred geometry. It's all in spirals to enhance your spirituality. That is, it is designed by the sound of nature's voice or the sacred orchestra to attract and transmit optimal amounts of oxygen and energy for its amazingly small size. It is unbelievable. So DNA and hemoglobin are both structurally and functionally influenced by cosmic energy as well as by electromagnetic charges surrounding the Earth's atmosphere. Research shows that 90% of your biological energy comes from oxygen. Likewise, optimal healing of tissues depends on oxygen levels. Many naturopathic doctors say if you can get your PO2 up to rise above 100 millimeters mercury, you could prompt healing. You even had Peter Jennings on the news show you what happens when you take paraplegics into oxygenation tents and chambers, hyperbaric oxygenation chambers, miraculous nervous regeneration and healing. In a normal room, however, oxygen tension is only about 19 to 21%. And for this reason, many clinicians administer oxygen in various forms. Now look at the philosophical and the derivations of the words oxygen. The roots, again, Webster's Dictionary, relate to DNA's primary function. In creationism, oxy, relating to sharp or acid it comes from, and gen, G-E-N, pertaining to information, producer born to become. So when we look at oxygen, it is a sharp information producer, relaying the spirituality through the water molecules. The electromagnetic energy is stored and moved in this way. Now let's look at the definition from Webster's again of electromagnetism. It's defined as, quote, a fundamental physical force that is responsible for interactions between charged particles which occur because of their charge and for emission and absorption of photons or light energy. So, therefore, everything physical, composed of atoms and subatomic particles that interact because of this electromagnetic phenomenon. One might say that electromagnetism and water is fundamentally responsible for all of life and everything in the physical universe. It is also characteristic of ether, the spiritual force or energy from which all matter precipitates. Now, in Hilo, Hawaii, the other day, we were blessed by a visit from Dr. Emoto, who is the Japanese doctor who is now on the New York Times bestseller list. His book, The Message from Water, I think was last week 13th on the list. And his message from water is that not only does water relay love signals, but is receptive to love signals and even language. Dr. Emoto places on water containers to change the structure, and he's taken magnificent photographs of water, saying if you simply put the words love and thanks on a glass of water, the loving intent of those words actually carries the frequency into the water, begins to rearrange the molecular structures, creating what's called structured water. And he thanks a good friend of mine, Dr. Lee Lorenzen, who I worked with years ago with regard to the first clustered water that was produced and sold. And I remember sitting at a table with Dr. Lorenzen years ago, and when we first had, this was 1999, we just had the book Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse just come off the press. And I said to Lee, you know, we just produced the revelations in 3,000 years of the ancient musical scale, and I said the third note is about miracles. And I said, here's the frequencies, 396, 417, 528. And he starts to laugh when I got to 528. I said, why are you laughing? He says, that happens to be known by the world's leading genetic biochemists as the miraculous repair frequency for damaged DNA. And he said, I put that frequency, nobody knows it, but I put that frequency in my water to bless it. So, the miracle of DNA, Dr. Lorenzen taught me, is that water activates it. DNA exists in a matrix of water. The structured water, or what he called clustered water, has these sacred geometric forms in the tetrahedron structures that combine in 3 dimensions, at least that we know about already, in various sacred geometric forms, just like Melchizedek and Dan Winter show us in their wonderful work, showing how the tetrahedron structures just rotate a little bit. Now you've got from the side the Star of David, and then another addition, another modification of the sacred geometric form, and now you have the Merkaba. And so the DNA, Lorenzen showed us, because he studied the works of very, very intelligent genetic scientists like Ron Sakeley, Department Chairman of Chemistry, University of California, Berkeley, showed that DNA acts as an antenna for cellular upregulation. The primary function they taught us about what DNA is about. It's a receiver and transmitter of photons, light and phonon sound. For what? Cellular upregulation, meaning that their water molecules, the pyramid power around the DNA spiral energizing strands, are taking in the spiritual energy of love vibrations and then sending it out for manifesting, precipitating in a quantum field the physical matter of the body. Here you see from Sakeley's work, published in the Journal of Science, beautifully structured, well-hydrated DNA strands. And associated with these strands are electrical potentials. Now, this is what happens if you simply take as little as 8% of the water, structured water particularly, out of the molecules, out of these DNA molecules. You will see them go like this. They unravel, they fold, they lose their energy too. If you compare one side to the other, you see negative 212 goes down in the left, your left, and the potential at the top, measured. The same exact DNA strand, dehydrated, as little as 8%, produces negative 12 potential. Dramatic reduction in the energy carrying capacity of the gene and the strand, the chromosome. Dr. Emoto's work further showed us that when we pray over water, the water dramatically changes. He showed us when he took photographs of 9 cities, their tap water around the world, and showed us that it looks like raw sewage under 20,000 magnification. When it used to look like a beautiful snowflake, you hit it with chlorine and fluoride and heavy metal toxicity, and you blow out the structures, the magnificence, the spiritual, empowered, energy-carrying capacity of the worlds, the earths, the planets, the universe's probably most sacred fluid, and this is what's called public health. So all of this information has been Masonically censored. We're not told that DNA is an antenna to God. We're told it's simply a protein synthesis template. Messages go from DNA to RNA to the ribosome to produce amino acids, bring proteins together. When they come together, now we build new body parts. Well, you know what? That exists. The Bible says that a half-truth is a complete lie, however. That 3% of the function, 3% of the function is what the authorities tell us DNA is all about, protein synthesis. They call the rest, the 93+%, they call junk DNA. It's junk. The Creator made a mistake. It was the Creator's defecation that gave you the rest of your DNA. DNA is the central processing station also for all the electrochemical. the mathematical, the frequency, the bioelectric and spiritual communications throughout your body. The